Cease is standing by in the Battery now because people in the Battery area of St. John's have learned that the city is planning to tear down an historical structure, namely a decades-old wharf belonging to Jack Wells. In fact, the demolition could happen today. The wharf was battered and almost destroyed during a storm in February, and as they have done in the past, neighbors pulled together and helped Wells rebuild the wharf. But David Blackmore, the city's director of property management, says such structures must have the proper permits to exist. CBC reporter Jessica Doria-Brown spoke with Blackmore about the situation yesterday afternoon.
There are structures that were constructed for a period of time, perhaps done without permit. Basically what we're dealing with, of course, is public safety. Anything that is constructed, we want it to be safe for the users, owners, users, whether it be public or private. And they had to be constructed to meet national codes. So they're not, I guess, additional restrictions being put on those property owners versus any other properties. Those are basically the rules that are required to be met in order to build a property that's going to be safe for use.
Okay, because some of the people that I've been speaking with seem to think this is a new thing, so either it's new now or hasn't or wasn't heavily enforced before. Which is it?
Codes evolve over time, but what we're talking about, I guess, is an area where structures were built over a period of time. For the most part, they were originally fishing stages, for drying fish or accessing boats. Probably never applied for in the way of a permit, never inspected. But of course, we see the effects. You get a storm condition, everything is washed away. We're not dealing now with, again, fishing stages for drying fish that are actively in use. What we're dealing with now, of course, are properties that people will be using more for recreation. Public will have access to in a lot of cases, whether invited or not invited, the public will be allowed. They have to be constructed with standing elements. Again, we're dealing with basically public safety.
That was David Blackmore, the Director of Property Management for the City of St. John's. Now, Chris Brooks was one of the people who helped repair Jack Wells Wharf earlier this year, and he's with our Cecil Hare in the Battery right now. Over to you, Cece.
Thank you very much, Maggie. In the Battery, looking at the wharf now, the newly repaired wharf, fresh pieces of 2x4, and I am with Chris Brooks. Good morning to you, Chris.
Good morning, Cece.
What is the latest from City Hall on the repair work that's happened here?
The latest we've had is two workers that came down yesterday evening saying that they had orders from the city to demolish it and that they would be back this morning to do the same.
Now, there's no sign of anyone yet, though. Do you anticipate this will go ahead, or has there been any development since you heard about this?
Well, I did tell them that the owner of the wharf, Mr. Wells, hasn't been officially notified. Neither has he been given a 10-day period to appeal, which under the City Act he's supposed to receive. They said they'd take that back to City Hall, but I don't know if they're going to show or not.
It may appear to some that the issue of permits may be the issues here. I'm just wondering, did you guys try to get permits, and why, if not, why weren't any obtained?
Mr. Wells the Wells family's had that wharf there for generations, and they've never had a permit to repair it before. I don't think there's, as far as the association knows, there's never been a permit issued for wharf repair anywhere in the city of St. John's or anywhere in the province of Newfoundland. The city, as far as we understood, doesn't normally have jurisdiction over marine structures below the high water mark.
And repairs have gone on at this site for years without any permits?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I own a little boat out there, and, for the past dozen years, I've helped repair Mr. Wells's wharf. Lots of people have. Sure, happens every year.
Where do you and your association go from here?
We would like to cooperate with the city, and we had hoped to do that on this issue. We didn't even know that it was going to be, we weren't notified that it was going to be torn down. It would have been nice if we had, but we'd certainly, I guess, like to work with the city in future as best we can, so we avoid kind of situations like this.
When you think about the situation that we're at this point, what goes through your mind when you think about how much the city promotes this part of the harbour in its literature and its publications and pamphlets?
Well, we're the poster child for city and provincial tourism. The irony is, it's not that the city was unaware of that wharf for years and the fact that it was put out there every year, because they've been featuring it on all of their posters and flyers. It was on actually the front cover of the Juno program just a couple of months ago. So the city is obviously proud of that wharf, or has been until now.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you, Steve.
And Maggie, I also have another concerned resident who showed up here this morning, who has joined the cause. Richard Cashin, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You came down here this morning. You knew I'd be here. You have some thoughts on what's been going on?
Well, I heard the interview yesterday, and I was outraged because the city of St. John's, probably outside of the Soviet Union, there's no government I know that's so controlled by its bureaucracy. And I talked to some councillors who seemed, I don't know what they thought about it all. They say this is a safety issue. Now, if they proceed as they did, then I assume Mayor O'Keefe is going to challenge Danny Williams, because Danny Williams has jurisdiction over fishing stages throughout this province, and to my knowledge, none of them there's no difference between the Battery and other out harbours in Newfoundland. Is St. John's anti-out harbour? Because that's what they have right here in St. John's, in a little piece of out harbour Newfoundland. And the whole approach to the development of the Battery, what they want them to do, would cost a fortune. I mean, a standard will be imposed upon fishermen and ex-fishermen in the Battery that would close the fishery in the rest of Newfoundland. They even talk about getting a marine engineer in here and designing things. Well, one of the problems they have is when they built Prosser's Rock, or they developed the harbour to get tourist boats in here, they took away property that's made it even more volatile. Now, replacing wharves, as one retired fisherman said to me yesterday, is something they do every few years. Now, they say the issue is safety. Well, safety of whom? I mean, they have a do not trespass sign down there. I mean, whose safety is at risk? Now, I think this is the bureaucratic mind gone mad, and I've seen it in other examples in the way this city is governed, and I just think it's outrageous, and I think this is an issue much bigger than Jack Wells' stage.
And you don't live in the Battery? You don't have any connection with this area?
Well, I didn't live in Burgeo, and I didn't live in Buren, but when I saw little people being attacked or put down, I'm here, whether it's the Battery or Burgeo. And I might say, when it comes to bending rules, there were those who were prepared to do it for Fortis, but why can't they do it for ordinary people? Because if they impose the kind of rules that they've brought up, which shows a lack of imagination, they have to make some different arrangements to allow the Battery to survive as we've known it. And if they're unable to do that, then they should be replaced.
Well, thank you for your time, Richard Cashin.
Thank you.
There you have it, Maggie. We're live at the Battery in St. John's overlooking Jack Wells' newly repaired wharf.
All right, thanks for that, Cease.
Okay.